everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Rob. This is RH Midwest Comics, and we have finally done it. After all these years of me doing these price updates of Silver Age books, Bronze Age books, Copper Age books, and after all your requests to do Golden Age, I finally done it. And the question we're going to try and answer today is whether or not Golden Age comics have suffered the same price correction as all the other genres. Pick one. Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age. They've all had corrections since COVID. COVID madness, where the prices tripled, quadrupled, 10x'd in some cases. They've all corrected. So even though the comic industry is gaining some strength recently, everything is still lower than it was during COVID. But there is this idea out there that Golden Age was completely immune to it, especially these big grails, right? They're the rarest of the bunch. They're the most desirable. Deep pockets, whales, millionaires, billionaires are buying these things. Surely these books did not correct in price. They're just going to keep going up, right? Well, we'll see. I know the answer. I'm not going to spoil the punchline. That is what we're going to try to answer today, okay? So first time ever doing a Golden Age price update, and it spans over a big period of time. So here's how we did it. Once again, we're using GPA data only and just Blue Label data, no restored data, no signed books, no conserved books. And I know there are private sales out there for grails like this, but you really can't trust that data. And you never know what someone paid for a book if it's a private sale. I know there are numbers that are announced, but they're never confirmed. So GPA is the one consistent we have in all these different price updates. So we're going to stick with that. And what grades are we including? Well, this is what I'm talking about. Since the sales are so infrequent on big Golden Age books that we had to span a huge time frame. So I looked for any grade that had a sale between 2018 and 2022, right? Before and during COVID. And then at least one sale in 24, 25, or 26. So I know that's a big time frame and a lot can change. So if there's a sale in 24 and it sells again today in 2026, it could be a huge price difference. But this is how we have to do it in order to get enough data to kind of make a conclusion here, all right? With that, let's get into it, and then we'll make our own conclusions at the end here. All right, first book, the granddaddy of them all, Action Comics #1, the one that started it. First appearance of Superman and his origin. And like I said, you guys, there's only one grade we have to look at in GPA that sold somewhere between 2018 and 2022, and then another sale in 2024, 25, or 26. And that is a 3.0. All right. Back in 2021, it sold for $1.6 million. What happened after that? Only one more sale in 2024, and it sold for $960,000. A huge drop, 42%. Again, I know limited data, but it is what it is. The 3.0 has had a big drop since COVID, and that's all we have to go on for Action Comics #1. But this is the start for our Golden Age here. Not a great way to start off, but again, the data is what it is. All right, let's keep going. Let's see if we get some positive traction going here. Superman #1. So Superman #1 is a really important book because it is the first appearance of nobody. I say this a lot. No big first appearances, and maybe no first appearances at all, unless it's some minor character that I don't know about. But I'm pretty sure no first appearances in this book. Nonetheless, still an important book in the history of the hobby. And we've got 3 grades to go on here. The 1.8, the 1.5, and the 1.0. Obviously, a little bit more of a common book, so there are going to be more sales out there. All right, let's start it off. Did Superman #1 fare better than Action Comics #1? The 1.8, here we go. Well, the high point, again, we're looking for sales during COVID to show the high point. So you can see pre-COVID to COVID, huge inflation, right? $288,000 in 2022. And then the other sale in 2025 dropped to $156K, or a drop of 46%. Massive drop since COVID. Let's check out the 1.5. All right, a lot of ups and downs, but the high point during COVID was 192,000. And then the last sale just this year, $110,000, so a drop of 43%. My goodness. That's the 1.5. So is the 1.0 going to save us here? Let's find out. The 1.0, again, some ups and downs. The high point in 2022 was $141,000. And in 2026, sold for the same price as the 1.5, $110,000, but still down 22%. So Superman suffers the same fate as Action Comics #1. Since COVID, huge drops in these prices. Superman overall, whether you're talking about Superman #1 or Action #1, not so good. All right, still great books, but prices definitely dropping since COVID. All right, let's move on. Detective Comics 27. Let's see, we got Tech 27 and Batman #1 going back to back here. So let's see if Batman fares better than the two Superman books, okay? And just like Action Comics #1, only one grade to look at here, a 7.0. It's a big grade. 7.0. Let's see. Survey says only two sales, one in 2020 for $1.5 million. And then again, just this year, $2.3 million. My goodness. Huge increase, 55%. Detective Comics 27 with some positive news here. So needless to say here that Batman has become much more popular than Superman, especially in, the current pop culture environment. Let's move on. Batman #1. Let's see. Are we going to get the same results as Detective Comics 27? Again, all right. So here's how I have Batman #1 split up. There are a ton of grades, and you can see the first grade here we're looking at is the 9.4, and I had to give it its own chart because it would have been quote-unquote off the charts, right? The y-axis would have had to have been so huge that all the other grades would have been jammed at the bottom, and you wouldn't be able to see what's what. And so anyway, I put the 9.4 on its own page. I think you can guess what's going to happen here because the 9.4 is the single highest grade for Batman #1. And in 2021, it sold for $222,000. And when it sold again, bam, this year for $600,000, an increase of 170%. It almost triples in price. So when you're talking about a huge grail like Batman #1, which, by the way, is a big first appearance of the Joker, right? Unlike Superman #1, this has a lot more going for it. But when you're talking about the single highest graded of a major grail like this, all bets are off on what it's going to do. So the correction factors of post-COVID and everything, just throw that stuff out the window. And as you can see, right, big sale here. So Batman #1 off to a good start. Let's look at the rest of the grades here. So we've got 5 more to look at. Yep, I had to give it its own chart because we have so much to go through. So we have the 5.0, the 4.0, the 3.5, the 1.8, and the 1.5. Let's start with the 5.0. All right, there you go. The high point was $360,000. And in 2026, almost the same price. Very slight increase. I give it 1% for the 5.0. Let's look at the 4.0. That looked kind of similar until the end there. So again, I'm taking the high point during COVID, which was $264,000. And yeah, it sold for even higher in 2024. But then the last sale this year, down to $220,000. So it dropped 17%. All right. Still a big price, though, and still significantly higher than the pre-COVID sales. All right. 3.5. Let's go. Big ups, big downs, high point of 264, low point last year of 186, a drop of 30%. So Batman #1 not looking so good right now. Let's look at the 1.8. Not a lot of sales here. Didn't start until 2022, meaning prior to 22, we didn't have a sale until prior to 2018. So that's why I'm starting it here. And $180,000, and you can see the post-COVID correction down to $84,000. Huge drop, 53%. And then finally, the 1.5 saves us a little bit here. So I'm using the 2020 data point, even though, because I have nothing in 21 or 22. So 20 was a little bit before all the madness. So if there was a sale in 21 or 22, it could have been higher than any of these sales, but we'll never know. So anyway, $78,000 in 2020, $84,000 in 2025, but yeah, dropped since the last sale. Regardless, giving it an 8% increase. So Batman a little bit mixed, right? The 9.4 on the previous page, and the 5.0 and the 1.5 going up, and then the 4.035 and the 1.8 going down. All right, so we're kind of split. Captain America Comics #1, the first appearance of Cap, first appearance of Red Skull, huge book, and we've got a lot of grades to go through here, so let's get to it, starting with the 7.0. Lots of sales, but the high point during COVID was $326,000, and then a sale, okay, I labeled it 2022 there, but that's a typo. It's 2026, and it sold for $305,000. So pretty much holding its own, down 6%. Let's get into the 5.5. Straight shot. So last sale, the previous sale in 2024 was $170,000. I'm just picking that point, guys, because I had nothing during COVID. And then an increase, the last sale in 2025 to 174. Very slight increase, 2%. Let's look at the 5.0. This is an interesting situation where the 5.0 sales are higher than the 5.5. It happens sometimes, you guys. Over time, it'll probably correct itself. But again, so few sales that depending on when these things were offered, people are going to pay a little bit of a premium for them. Regardless, the 5.0 saw an increase. So in 2022, $180,000. In 25, $204,000. So post-COVID, up 13%. Cap looking decent. Let's go with the 4.5. 3 more grades to go through here. Straight shot down from $194,000 to $162,000, so down 16%. The 4.0 looks very similar. $180,000 back in 2021, down to $128,000 just this year. A little bit of a bigger drop there. 29%. And then last but not least, the 2.0, well, saves us a little bit. So 90,000 in 2020, 96,000 in 2025, up 7%. So we're split here. 3 grades going up, 3 grades going down. Mixed results, but bottom line is not every grade is going up, you guys, since COVID, right? So we're kind of seeing a trend here that Golden Age is not immune to what we see in the other ages. All right, last but not least, Marvel Comics #1, the book that started it all for Marvel Comics. First timely book, first Human Torch, first Kazar. Only 2 grades to look at here. This is a very rare book, guys, but significant importance here for the comic book industry and for Marvel Comics in general. 1939. Let's see how the 2 grades did. The 4.5. Yikes. Went from $360,000 during the madness of COVID all the way down to $274,000 last year, a drop of 24%. Did the 2.5 fare any better? Nope. Pretty much the same. Only 2 sales. 1 sale in 2022 for $328K. And then just this year, $253,000, a drop of 23%. My goodness. Not so good for Marvel Comics #1, even with how rare that book is. And this is perfect, right? Sales right during the madness of COVID. I mean, you could argue 21 or 22 were the heights. Like, books peaked at different times. And it's drastically changed in the years since then. All right, so Marvel Comics, not so good. Okay, so here's your summary. So 6 books, all of these grades, 19 in all. If you look, again, over on the left, Superman just not doing very well at all, right? Everything is in the down direction. The 2 Batman books, I know things are kind of jumbled here, but kind of a mix, a little bit up, a little bit down. Cap, a mix, split equally, 3 up, 3 down. And then Marvel Comics #1, unfortunately, both grades going down. So overall, we looked at 19 total grades on all these books, and 12 of them have gone down or decreased in price since the COVID boom. So 63% going down. We've seen it worse in other genres. So maybe the silver lining here is that, You know, Golden Age is holding out a little bit better than Silver Age or Bronze Age, but still succumbing to the same fate. Big corrections since COVID for the most part. But will it last? I don't know, you guys. These are huge, huge grails. And again, the industry and the hobby is picking up some momentum lately. All collectibles are, though. So who knows what to expect. But, you know, the first part of the year, all the way through May and June, it is, right, the busiest time of the year for comics, typically where we get our most strength on prices. And then kind of like once we get into July and San Diego Comic-Con comes and goes, there's a little bit of a lull and a little bit of fatigue. And then through the rest of the year, you see some relaxing on prices. But again, Golden Age, a little bit different. They don't come along enough to be able to make a trend in a short period like that. So anyway, that is our Golden Age price update for 2026. I probably won't do another one this year because we got to give it some time for some books to sell, you guys, and they just don't happen that often. But we'll see. We'll see. If we get some things happening, I can always do a quick update. All right, what do we have coming next? Well, Bronze Age Horror, you guys. I know you've been asking for this one. I have even more requests for this one, and it's coming, but give me a little bit of time. We've got a lot of shows and a lot of content we're going to do on shows that are coming up over the next couple months. And as we get closer to Halloween, and we are inching closer, guys, it's really not that far away, we're going to do Bronze Age Horror, and I may even throw in a Pre-Code Horror price update here, but we'll see. But first and foremost, we're going to do the Bronze Age Horror price update. But we have lots more videos coming here, lots of shows coming up, so stay tuned. We've got Heroes Con next weekend, multiple videos on that one probably. But let me know your thoughts on this, guys. Did you think Golden Age was going to drop as much as it did based on what I showed you today? Or did you think it was going to be worse than this? So leave me your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, have a great day.